When a lot of people think about, I guess, spending money on equipment or tools to get work done, they don't usually think about one vital piece of equipment, which is a chair, an office chair. If you think about it, an office chair is actually really vital. I actually think it's very important because it actually does have a direct influence on your health. As in, this is something that you sit in every single day and it affects posture and your bones and things like that. So today we're taking a look at the Flexispot OC6. It's an ergonomic office chair. Flexispot did send us a review unit of the OC6. However, they are not going to be watching this prior to publishing, so you are going to be the first ones to watch it. And everything I'm going to be saying here is really just based on my experience using the chair for the period of time that I've had it. However, YouTube does consider this a sponsored video, as I did receive a review unit of the chair from the business to make a video of, but everything I'm going to be saying is based on my own opinions. So let's quickly talk about where the OC6 falls in. Just like any category of technology or just any consumer product, there's different price ranges that you would, I guess, look into. There's the bottom end price point, a kind of middle price point, and a high end price point. Well, the OC6 doesn't really fit in with any. It's not the cheapest. It's definitely not the most expensive. And I wouldn't even say it's in like the middle tier. It's somewhere between the lower and middle tier of pricing. And I do think the OC6 actually does a relatively good job of surprising people. It surprised me with what it offered for the, I guess, the price point, the starting price point that it sells for. And when we got our media briefing about the OC6, they wanted to make sure that we understood where they were coming from in terms of its design language. So we were told that the OC6 was designed to be a cost-effective alternative to the Steelcase Gesture, which does retail about 4 times more than this chair that we're reviewing here. So I do not expect this to be anywhere near the Gesture in terms of quality or whatnot. However, the reason they, I guess, want to say it like this is because it does use a similar Y-shaped back structure. So fundamentally, in theory, the seating experience and how your body rests on the chair should be somewhat similar in a similar position of sitting to that chair for a much less price point. So that's something that I'm interested to kind of get a feel for. I have not personally sat on a Gesture before, but I do know that's a nice chair, and I do know people who own that chair. However, for what I can tell you about the OC6, it is a pretty comfortable chair, and I do find the ergonomics and the setups that we have here to be pretty good. There's actually a lot of things you can adjust here. And that's very important because proper posture while sitting has been a major selling point for a lot of these chair makers in the last few years. For the OC6, Flexispot has actually crammed in a lot of flexible adjustments to kind of cater to those type of people. So there's a lot of things you can do, standard things that we'll list right off the bat are like seat height. You can also do the armrest height and positioning of that, as well as lumbar support. And then you got tilt, and also you have a headrest that you can adjust the settings to. And there's just good variety of things and different movements you can set your chair to so that every kind of inch around your body you can kind of customize to how you want it to feel. The armrests specifically are adjustable on a 3D scale, meaning that you can adjust the height, you can adjust the depth, and you can also adjust the angle. So you can basically swivel this any direction you want. I found this to be maybe like a double-edged sword because even though the positive is that you can twist and turn this in any direction and it's very easy to do that, I did feel like it was a little looser than other chairs that I've been accustomed to because the armrests don't feel as, I guess, sturdy due to all the customizability. There is a bit of a little rattle and creak when you kind of move around because of all this allotted flexibility. The armrests themselves are made of this kind of plastic materials. There's a good amount of cushioning on there. So when you do put your elbows down and put some weight on it, it does absorb your body weight. It does feel comfortable. I didn't feel sore. I didn't have any, I guess, markings on it for a long time resting on there. It did feel quite comfortable. So I do think the armrests feel okay to set your arms on for quite a long period of time. So, even though there's a lot of customizability, for some reason, I did find it a little hard to set it exactly how I wanted it to feel and to get comfortable with it. It took me a little bit to customize the chair to get to a certain point. Eventually, it settled on one position that I did feel relatively comfortable to sit in for long periods of time. And I did find that the mesh material that the chair uses to be a little bit hard on the tush. It's a mesh material once again, and there's okay cushioning. It's really sturdy and firm there to sit on, but for me, it's like slightly too firm. Flexispot does say that it supports up to 500 pounds of weight, so that is really sturdy. I also liked how this mesh material doesn't get wet from, I guess, my sweat because it actually doesn't get warm at all. From the point I'm sitting to the point I'm getting up and leaving, the chair doesn't get warm. A lot of other chairs I've sat in, when you get up, the chair is warm from your body heat. I didn't get that here. This mesh material does keep kind of cool on your body, which is good because sometimes my office does get a little warm due to the air conditioning. I have no control over that. And thanks to a metal frame that serves as, I guess you can say, the bones of the OC6, there is a aura of sturdiness to it. I was actually kind of surprised pulling all the stuff out of the box and building it that this was heavy. This chair is actually heavier than I thought it would be. And there's considerable heft when you're moving the chair around, so it doesn't feel like a cheap chair. I also felt very stable after putting it on the casters and rolling around with it. When I'm perched on the chair, it does feel very stable and sturdy. Now, when it comes to lumbar support, this does come with lumbar support and it's adjustable. You have kind of like this pillow that's an oval shape, and you can move it up and down, perched in a linear level. You don't have too much adjustability in terms of height. I found the highest position to be a little too high on my lower back, and the lower position is probably the best one. But I feel like it could have been a little bigger. The cushion itself is okay. It's relatively soft. There's not too much fluff behind it. It's just kind of there to kind of pad you. So it's definitely not the best lumbar support out there, but at least there's lumbar support that somewhat does the job here. And one of the most underrated adjustments office chairs provide now, that the OC6 does, is depth. Adjusting depth is great. So you can slide it out more and it can go under my knees. So I have more support. And I do feel like I'm less fatigued because my knees do have support under that for long periods of time if I so choose to have that. And I just feel like having the OC6 have that ability to do that, even being so nimble when I move around the chair and having that support under my knees because I could extend it out quite a good amount of depth. I do like it. I actually think this is one of the best adjustability parts the chair has to offer. And finally, I do think Flexispot has given the OC6 a really nice modern aesthetic design. I like the gray color. I do think when you look at it from a little bit of a distance, it's more of a white hue than gray, like a darker gray. So it does lighten up my desk setup a little bit. So I do like the look of the color. In fact, I actually really like the back. I love this fabric that's really compacted. It's really compactly stitched together. It's a type of cloth material. It just looks really nice. It looks really clean. It looks really modern. I've been saying modern, modern, modern. The chair looks really modern from the back, and that wide back structure attributes to that. I do think this whole appearance, from the back at least, looks good, and it looks a lot better than a lot of traditional office chairs. So props to them on this particular design. I do think it looks good. Actually, at the end of the day, I do find the Flexispot OC6 to be a comfortable seat that guided me throughout my workday. It wasn't something I dreaded sitting on, and it actually was pretty good. It actually made the day go by quickly, and my body felt good leaving the chair. as it did sitting on it. So, I mean, that's what I want my chairs to do to keep me from being fatigued while I'm sitting in my chair throughout a long workday. So I think it's priced right, and I think it has this really nice modern appeal that fits in with a lot of consumers. So overall, I do think it might be a worthy buy at this price tag. Once again, I'm Alex from the Sypnotix. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the Flexispot OC6, and I'll see you guys in the next video.